Welcome everybody to today's webinar. This is the Farmer's Truck webinar on mobile produce markets and how they're changing healthy food access. So my name is James. I'm the Community Growth Marketing Specialist with the Farmer's Truck. And with us today are 5 amazing panelists from New York to California who have expertise and in-depth knowledge on operating mobile produce markets in their communities. But first, we're going to bring in Fred, who you see on your screen now. Fred is our co-founder and our CEO of the Farmer's Truck. And he's going to talk a bit more about today's webinar, the purpose, just explain what are mobile produce markets, who do they help, and the important role mobile produce markets play in the future. So without further ado, over to you, Fred.
Good morning, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Frédéric Laforge. I'm the co-founder and CEO of the Farmer's Truck. Here is me with a calf that we had brought on Main Street at one point to launch our online store, the first online farmers market in our region. And it was quite a fun day. Everybody kind of played around and pet the calf, and kids and families came around. So it was really cool. That's when we were operating our own mobile market truck. A few housekeeping. So please note your questions. We'll have a Q&A at the end. There will be a link to this presentation also available at the end. If you would like to tweet or tag us online, please use #MobileProduceMarket. And I would like to thank everyone for joining us. So let's begin. So what we'll cover today. So what are mobile produce markets? Why do they help and who do they help? How mobile produce market programs are key pillars of action identified by the 2022 White House Conference on Hunger, Nutrition, and Health, and what is the future of mobile markets? So let's start with the basics. What are mobile produce markets? So mobile produce markets are pretty simple. Essentially, you're trying to bring fresh produce, healthy food in areas where there's a need, an underserved community. It could be as simple as a table and some tent, an event as we see here. It could be a trailer version where people would walk in the mobile market and shop and come out on the other way, or sometimes they come through the same way. It could be a retrofitted bus. So these are quite popular as well. You have a control environment, but it comes with other complication. That's a good example as well. You have modified step vans. This one here, you can shop outside, but they also allow you to come inside to do your shopping. So a different type of experience. They even have solar panels and some speakers outside, as you can see. You also have a much more complex and complete version of a trailer. This one here is Second Harvest in Orange County, and they have some freezer space, if I can see, some dry storage and all that stuff. And then you have the Farmer's Truck, which is, as you can see here, is a Julie's Farmer's Truck, the open door, and this setup is beautiful. So a bit about us. So the Farmer's Truck started in 2015 to bring fresh local food in underserved communities. We now empower others to do the same. So how we do that? So first, we figured if we can provide a mobile market truck that could fit the needs of these organizations to serve their community. So that's the first thing we're doing. And the second thing is we're helping them raise funds so they can launch their mobile market programs. The Farmer's Truck is a social enterprise with a bold vision: fresh, accessible food in every community. And this is a snippet of the strategy from the conference. State and local and territory governments should provide incentives and technical assistance to support year-round mobile produce markets in communities with limited food access. Meet our panelists. Tamara Dawson is the director and program for the Campaign Against Hunger in Brooklyn, New York. Tamara began her professional career in marketing at a young age, working with corporations like Seagate, Global Intelligence, and Westfield Corp. During her tenure, Tamara managed corporate events, direct mail campaigns, trade shows, collateral campaigns, and graphic development. For the past 16 years, Tamara has grown with the Campaign Against Hunger, where she currently serves as the Director of Program and right hand to the Executive Director and founder. Her progressive experience from program assistant to her current role has made her an expert in the field of food insecurity and emergency feeding programs. In addition to her leadership role at the Campaign Against Hunger, Tamara has mentored other executive directors of emergency food program and maintained a close relationship by lending advice and support. Sarah Norwick, CEO of the Community Food Bank of San Benito County in San Benito, California. Sarah went to California State University, Monterey Bay, and obtained a bachelor degree in kinesiology and exercise science. Sarah was chairperson of the Community Food Bank of San Benito County starting in 2016 until 2020, when later that year she became Community Engagement and Development Director for the Food Bank. Last year, Sarah was appointed CEO of the Food Bank. She is a passionate advocate for ending hunger and poverty in San Benito area and is dedicated to providing relief to those in need. Sarah brings over a decade of experience working in the nonprofit sector to her role as CEO. She is an expert in developing and implementing effective strategies to combat hunger and poverty and is committed to strengthening the community through her work. Jess Solis is the director of the Community Food Access Program with GoFarm in Golden, Colorado. Jess has been with GoFarm for nearly 4 years, starting out as Community Food Access Program Manager until becoming the Program Director last year. Her work at GoFarm is grounded in the sense of connection with the natural world and in her belief that its bounty, healthy, delicious food should be shared by everyone. Before coming to GoFarm, Jess worked in the fields of food systems and agriculture, housing and shelter, and education, most recently with the Lutheran Services of Iowa, Global Greens Program. In 2012, she graduated from Iowa State University with a master's in sustainable agriculture and sociology and a certificate in social justice in higher education. She loves to spend time hiking, gardening, and building community around social justice and good food. Welcome, Jess. Heather Lyon is the program coordinator of the West Sacramento Urban Farm program in California, a program of the Center for Land-Based Learning. Heather was drawn to agriculture through people. In her exploration of food systems around the country and the world, she learned about the power of food and farming to knit together communities and create social change. After earning a BA in anthropology and human rights from the University of Chicago, Heather began honing her technical farming skills in central Vermont and California and fell in love with the work of growing food in a community-engaged way. From there, she moved to rural Nepal, where she served as a Peace Corps volunteer focused on nutrition-sensitive agriculture. Heather began working at the Center for Land-Based Learning in 2021, where she helped launch the Mobile Farmers Market, which focuses on connecting ultra-local, fresh, culturally relevant food to low-income community members. She also manages a 1/3 of an acre urban farm where she grows vegetables for the Mobile Farmers Market. Welcome. And last but not least, Julie Lafontaine, President and CEO of the Open Door, Gloucester, Massachusetts. Julie has been CEO of the Open Door for more than 20 years. She began as a volunteer of the Open Door and served on the board of directors before she was hired as the executive director. She is an experienced and innovative leader who has spent her career helping people in need. Julie has dedicated her life to addressing challenges of poverty and food insecurity and works closely with local community leaders and organizations to create partnerships that help to alleviate poverty and hunger. Julie's leadership and commitment to making a difference in the community have been recognized by many organizations, including the Greater Boston Food Bank of Massachusetts, the United Way of Massachusetts, and the Massachusetts Nonprofit Network. Her specialty includes public relations, community building, program development, and social enterprise. And that are our panelists. So let's get the party started. And so the first question I will ask one of you is, please tell us about your organization, your mission, and the community you serve. And we'll try to keep it at around 2 minutes. And so we'll jump from one to the other. And so I will start with Julie.
Great. Thank you. You'd think after 3 years, I wouldn't start talking when I was still muted, but here I am. Hello, everyone, and good afternoon. A little bit about the Open Door. We're located in Gloucester, Massachusetts, the home of the perfect storm, and we've been around since 1978. I've been around for about a little over 20 years. We serve 12 cities and towns in the northeast corner of Essex County. And our mission is pretty simple. It's to alleviate the impact of hunger in our community. We do that first and foremost by connecting people to good food. We advocate on behalf of those in need, for the people and the policies that serve them. And then we work on engaging others in the work of building food security. Last year, we reached 8,500 unique individuals with about 1.8 million pounds of food, and roughly 1/3 of that was fresh produce. Our programs include several food pantries, our mobile markets, our meal programs that are specialized for community meals, for summer meals, and for senior centers. We've done some work at the corner of really the intersection of nutrition and healthcare with medically tailored groceries, and are working with the state group on the food is medicine, and then on the national scene, and also SNAP advocacy. In addition to that, we have a bustling thrift store enterprise, social enterprise, that helps fuel our mission. And so we connect people to good food, advocate on behalf of those in need, and engage others in building food security. And that is the Open Door.
Thank you, Julie. All right, next we will go to Tamara.
Hi, everyone. I want to first take the time to thank Fred and James and everyone at the Farm Truck for the opportunity. And I want to greet my fellow panelists, for the opportunity to just be with you guys and to talk about such an important story. So here at the Campaign Against Hunger, we're excited to share the Campaign Against Hunger is celebrating 25 years here in New York City. We are one of the largest hunger relief organization within the city. We do about 14,000 meals, not meals, but families per week at our location. Our programmatic is broken down into 5 main pillars. One being our youth empowerment that focus heavily on taking youths that are on the street, educating them and building a skill, generally through our urban farming initiative, and healthy eating through our culinary program. We specifically focus on kids between the ages of 14 to 24. Our second pillar is our client services. Client services focus a lot on benefit access, helping the residents of our communities that we serve get various services like SNAP, WIC, different things along those lines, health insurance that are needed to help them to function as individuals. And then our third pillar would be our food distribution center, and our food distribution center focus mainly around what we call 4 different distribution platforms, which is our mobile pantry, which is our satellite pantry, our cyber pantry, and our super pantry, supermarket style pantry. And so each pillar or each part of that pillar has a different way of disseminating food out, healthy food to the public. We pride ourselves in knowing that we give out food according to the My Plate system, quarter greens, quarter protein, and half fruits and vegetables, half half being fruits and vegetable, but 90% of that being fresh produce, because we understand that diabetes, high blood pressure, different health risks face our community, and we want to help to combat that. And then a fourth pillar within the organization would be our urban farming. We have about 6 small urban farms. 2, we're currently working on a new project for 1.5 acres, and the first greenhouse on NYCHA property. NYCHA in New York City would be more of the urban setting housing that's run by the government. And so we're excited about that. And through our urban farming, we grow over 100 different variations of fruits and vegetables that we educate youth of all ages and make available, because New York City is such a diverse culture, being able to have that available to meet the needs of the residents. And then finally, under our food and nutrition, we have cafes that deal with healthy eating, as well as what we do with the farmers market, the truck going out and making food available with cooking classes and healthy education. So that in a nutshell is who our 25 years at the Campaign Against Hunger has been.
That is one full plate. Pun intended. Thank you, Tamara. Okay, next we will go to Jess. Jess, please tell us about your organization, your mission, and the community you serve.
Yeah, thank you. Hey, everybody. It's really great to be here with you all. And so thank you for this opportunity. So I work with GoFarm, which is a nonprofit organization working to strengthen the local food system. Our mission is to train and support local farmers, connect people with local agriculture, and increase equitable access to nutrient-rich food grown in Colorado. So we do that through 4 programs. Our first is our Farmer Development and Support Program, where we work with beginning farmers as they're developing their farming businesses to help them secure resources, including land, infrastructure, those sorts of things, provide training on things including business planning, as well as hands-on practical farming and market farming skills, match them with mentors, and provide a really a lower barrier of entry into a wholesale market through our other programs. So one of those is our local food share, where members sign up for a season of fresh, sustainably grown food that we source from over 50 different local farmers and producers. And then folks pick up their share weekly or every other week. And those share types include veggies, fruit, mushrooms, microgreens, eggs, and coffee this year we're excited about. And then our community food access program, which is the one that I work in, is really working to make that same locally grown food more affordable and accessible by reducing barriers, including transportation, price, and stigma. We create equitable and inclusive spaces in the hopes of making everyone feel welcome in their local food system. The last of our programs is community education, where we host classes and workshops, offer farm tours, provide recipes, nutritional information, all to educate folks about the local food system and get people really excited about the awesome food that's on their plates. We're located in Golden, Colorado, and we work primarily in the West Denver metro area. And the communities we serve include the local farmers and other producers who are using environmentally sustainable practices. And then anyone who wants to learn more about and purchase local food. And with the Community Food Access Program, we're really focusing on our community members who are facing barriers to participating in that local food system. Thanks.
That's awesome. Thank you, Jess. Welcome. Okay, next one, we will go with Sarah. Sarah, please tell us about your organization, your mission, and the community you serve.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Sarah Nordwick, and I work for the Community Food Bank of San Benito. And we are located in Hollister, California, which is about 45 minutes south from the famed Silicon Valley, San Jose area. We are considered remote and rural because we are small and away from big highways and access points. We started as a food bank in 1989, and currently we are serving 3,000 families a week. And that has significantly grown since COVID had even started. We continue to grow our operation. We are part of a rich agriculture area, and so we're very fortunate to be able to supply mostly organic, locally grown produce to our customers. And we pride ourselves in the quality of food that we are able to give out. And it is 100% free for anybody who comes to us. About 72% of our customer base is Latino or Hispanic. And so we do work hard to get culturally appropriate food items for them as well. We have 18 partner agencies that help us in distributing the food. But in our direct distributions alone, we serve anywhere from students at schools. We do home deliveries to senior apartments. We help our disabled folks in the community by doing doorstep brown bag drop-offs. And we also hit a lot of our rural areas of our county that don't have grocery store access. We are currently in the middle also of response with emergency flooding that our county had received. So we're helping many displaced families and learning about how important a food bank is during that, that time. And so that's been a big focus in the last few weeks for us. Our biggest distribution is called the Marketplace. And that is an option for people to come and walk through. It's set up like a grocery store. They pick their food items they want. They don't have to take what they won't eat. And the main goal of that is to not only decrease food waste, but also to provide the power of choice. Because we pride ourselves in offering that dignity for our customers to walk in our door, maybe not feeling so great, but walk out feeling hopefully a lot better with a smile on their face.
That's awesome. Thank you, Sarah. And last but not least, Heather. Tell us a bit about your organization, your mission, and the community you serve.
Hi, everyone. Good morning. It's so nice to be here with you all, and especially to hear about all of the amazing work that your organizations are doing. So I work with the Center for Land-Based Learning, which is a nonprofit based in Yolo County, California, so in the Sacramento Valley, just north and west of the city of Sacramento. And our organization's roots and most of our programming focus on education and workforce development in the fields of agriculture and environmental stewardship. One of the branches of the organization is the California Farm Academy, which focuses on training beginning farmers. So we have a farmer training program, an apprenticeship program, and a farm business incubator program. And as a part of the Farm Business Incubator program, we launched our West Sacramento Urban Farm Program in 2014. And that's the part of the organization that I work in and that the mobile market is a part of. Our West Sac program encompasses 5 urban farm plots, which serve as farm business incubator sites for beginning farmers so they can access land, resources, mentorship, and opportunities to kind of get started on their journey to have their own farm businesses. Several years back, CLBL began to recognize that in this urban space, farms play a particularly important role in connecting to the local communities. Just because there are farms in the urban space, it doesn't mean that everyone in the community is able to access the food. In particular, there's often a huge mismatch between the cost of production for farmers, especially urban farmers, in places where land is really expensive, water is really expensive, and the price that most people in the community are able to pay. And so the community that we serve, which is the Broderick Bright neighborhood of West Sacramento, it's been identified as low income, low access by the USDA. There's certainly no farmers market here, and it's an area disproportionately affected by diet-related diseases that we know stem from food access disparities. So we launched our mobile farmers market in 2021 to start to bridge some of these gaps in access and affordability as a service both to the farmers and to the community. So we've just finished our 2nd year. We have a really enthusiastic and very diverse customer base, mostly low-income folks, but the market is for everyone in the community. Many seniors, lots of families, lots of recent immigrants and refugee community members, and all of these folks are really passionate about high-quality, fresh produce. So that's our community, and that's who we serve.
Thank you, Heather. Okay, so as everybody can see, there's a lot of similarities in between the different organizations. It all obviously it's around food, it's around food access, it's around bringing dignity, it's around trying to fight stigma, it's around learning about food or basically If you can learn how to eat better, that's part of the process as well. Access is one piece, literacy is another. So, okay, so we'll go to the next question, which is specific about the mobile market. And so I will start with Sarah, if that's okay. So how does your mobile market fit into your mission? What does the program look like? And what is the impact it's having?
So this is our mobile pantry behind me here. So we actually go out Monday through Thursday, and each day we have 2 stops, so a total of 8 stops in the city of Hollister. And those stops were piloted for 2 months before we set our schedule, and they are identified as low socioeconomic areas of town. The goal is to obviously increase food access to these areas and do it in a safe way. So we want to prevent that barrier of food or of access to food. And so the stops that we have chosen are places where there's a high homeless congregation or by a park, so a mom with kids can let her kids go play while she picks out her food, and safe walkability. Our town doesn't really have, transportation within it, so we needed to make sure that it is safe for these families to come utilize it and then be able to walk home. We do stock the mobile pantry with about 80% fresh produce and 20% shelf-stable items, which could be canned goods, and we also offer milk, sometimes eggs, and meat as well. So that way the families that utilize this can make a whole meal out of what they get. We also, each stop right now is serving between 80 to 120 families each stop. So in a day, that's easily over about 100 or so. And so in the given week, we have at least 400 families that come through and utilize our mobile pantry. It's been instrumental in decreasing the stigma of using a food bank. As we all know, it's hard to ask for help. It's hard to accept help. But being that this vehicle is pretty cool and looks different, it's really helped our community know what it is. And we also take it into our parades and our health fairs and try to get kids okay with it. So that way, they see it and now it's just, oh, it's the mobile pantry, instead of like, oh, I don't want to see the food bank coming and I don't want people to see me. So it's really been amazing and it goes into our mission of providing dignity to our families. And obviously it's totally broken down the barrier to food access, and being able to offer healthy food and keeping it fresh while it's on the truck and the refrigerators is also a key component. But it's definitely been something that is a truck that's recognized throughout our county now. And we actually have a name for our mobile pantry. We call it Benny. So being that we're in San Benito, everybody knows it as Benny. So it's definitely a community icon at this point.
That's so cool. You're not the first that comes out. I know that in the Chester County Food Bank is called Blanche. One of them is called Blanche, and then there's everybody kind of finds a name for it. So you get to work and live especially if you're operating. This is your room of operation, and you get so fond of it. I guess it grows on you really quick. So thank you, Sarah. All right, next we are going to go with Julie. So Julie, how does your mobile market program fit into your mission? What does the program look like, and what impact is it having?
So mobile markets are not new for the Open Door. We actually started our first mobile market in 2005, and its evolution has been interesting to watch. But it really was founded out of reading a report from the USDA on the dietary guidelines for Americans. And at that time, they were saying 5 to 9 servings a day of fruits and vegetables. And so we began as a team to look at, what are the barriers that keep people from being able to meet that goal. And of course, at the top of the list was the cost of the food. And so we eliminated cost as a barrier by making a plan or a program to go into public housing neighborhoods and offer food for free. But before we did that, we really brought all the players to the table. There are tenants groups and residents groups in the public public housing neighborhoods where we wanted to think about doing some programming, and we brought them to the table. Our largest family public housing neighborhood in Gloucester, which is the heart of our service area, is across a very busy extension off of a rotary, and every several years someone gets struck in that crosswalk as they go across. And so we knew that transportation, getting to a pantry could really be a barrier to access. And so we were trying to envision something that would go to where people were. Instead of having 100 cars drive to the pantry, we would take one truck and go into a neighborhood. We learned very quickly that we didn't want to assume that people knew what to do with kale, but we didn't want to assume that they didn't know what to do with kale. And in that exchange, we would bring recipes to the table, but there would be a chance for people to say, well, this is what I do with kale, or this is what I do with bok choy. And in the exchange of recipes, it kind of addressed a fourth barrier to access, which was the social acceptability of using a food pantry. And so, there were some things that these were the barriers that went into a planning document, and the program was built around these things. But as always, there's an unintended consequence when you make a program. And something that never went into a planning document was the amount of community that was built around the exchange of having a market come into a neighborhood. And it was neighbors talking to neighbors. It was working with farmers and bringing the food into the neighborhood. It built better relationships with the housing authorities in those early years. From there, we morphed out into going to elementary schools where there were a high percentage of kids eligible for free or reduced price lunches. Then we went to senior centers, veteran centers, and now we are also on to community college campuses. And the farmer's truck joined our fleet during the pandemic, as many of us were trying to figure out better ways to get out and make sure that people were getting connected to food, making sure that we were fitting the mobile market back into our mission to alleviate the impact of hunger. The farmer's truck came across my desk. We looked at it, we kicked the tires, so to speak, and it seemed like the perfect way to really target certain populations that were unable to get to the food pantry, and during times of shutdown, it was a good way to be out and about. And it really put the mobile market that we started back in 2005 on wheels, and allowed us to be more nimble, work with an economy of scale, more efficient. And we load that truck up and go out and have 4 or 5 stops. And just the reduction in labor has been phenomenal. So I think I've covered all the areas, but that is really what we've been able to do, is make yet another way and better way to break down barriers and connect people to the healthiest kind of food.
Thank you, Julie. That's the students, like we've heard different, some programs are targeted towards seniors, some are trying to get the youth, but everybody gets to benefit from more access at the end of the day, right? So, and discovering what we grow, or what is available, and then some literacy activities through that, some recipes and things like that goes a long way, right? So thank you, Julie. All right, next we are going to go with Heather. Heather, tell us about your mobile market, how that fit into your mission, what does your program look like, and the impact it's having on your community.
Thanks. So for us, we're an organization with roots in local agriculture. So it's all about creating a more equitable and healthy local food system that everyone can benefit from, right? So we're trying to create a model for a system where farmers are paid fairly and the whole community has access to the good food, right? That good local fresh produce. And so ours is really a collaboration between the farmers, between the community, and the community facing organizations. So we have a mobile farmers market. We do have a farmers truck from Fred and the farmers truck. We're just heading into our 3rd season with the farmers truck. Up until now, we've been seasonal, so really focusing on the peak growing season in our area, which is May through October. We have 4 stops per week, 3 of which are at affordable housing complexes. One of those is a senior affordable housing complex, and we also have a stop at a city park. We've also piloted in this last year a stop in a higher income area where one of our farms is located, which has been an interesting experiment that I can certainly talk more about if people are interested. And on our truck, we have fresh produce that's from either farmers in our incubator program, other small and medium-sized regional farmers that we have access to through a local food hub. And we also grow a fair bit of the produce for the truck ourselves on one of our urban farms and through our farmer training program at our rural site in Woodland, California. We also, so alongside the produce, we also do distribute free pantry items that we get from the local food bank. So folks are able to come through, they get all of their veggies and fruit, and then they're able to ideally try and complete a meal with, it's usually really simple pantry items that we distribute for free. We've got rice and beans and pasta and canned tomatoes, usually, just keeping it really simple. And then we have a section with educational resources, so recipe cards, nutritional handouts and flyers, info about local programs, food bank emergency food distributions, all of that. Sometimes we have food demos. We've been working with the county to have food demos that use fresh produce from the truck, and then there are recipe cards that go along with that.
Heather, can you talk a bit about your ambassador, the person that,
Sure, I can talk about the ambassador program. This past year, we launched a community food ambassador program that we realized, and it's always been a goal of ours to try and include the community in this program as much as possible and make sure that the program is really grounded in what the community needs and desires and wants. And so we onboarded, this past year, it was 9 community food ambassadors who went through a series of workshops about food systems literacy, about all kinds of issues in the food system, as well as some basic like nutrition literacy and just opportunities for skill sharing and knowledge sharing. And then those folks, after they completed that program, were able to go out into the community and be paid to do community outreach about what they knew about the skills that they've learned with their families and neighbors and friends and community members. And we also had 3 of those community food ambassadors serve as assistants at the mobile farmers market throughout the summer, which was really exciting. And it was, they just became essential members of the team and really important allies and conduits with the local community. So that's something that's worked really well. Just 2 other things to highlight. We have some different models here, models where people are distributing produce for free. We're selling the produce. We try and price it somewhere between Walmart and farmers market. So try and keep it affordable. But we do accept EBT, and we have a market match program that lets anyone that's using their EBT get half off on the produce. So that really makes it quite affordable for folks that do use their EBT card, who are a vast majority of our customers. And the other thing that we're really focusing on is cultural relevance. We have a huge Afghan community in our area, lots of Afghan refugees. So we've worked with them to identify specific produce items that they want to see on the truck. And then we're working with our farmers to grow those items and make them available. So really trying to create a symbiosis. We know that this market exists for example, these Afghan chives that are super culturally important, but not necessarily accessible in the community. The farmers can grow them, and then the community can access them more easily. So that's about our program. We've seen a huge amount of growth between year 1 and year 2. So just like really explosion of enthusiasm and customer support. So it's all very exciting.
I really love the full circle. Like basically the farmer that gets to be delivering culturally appropriate food in the community they serve, and the connection in between. I mean, that's, I don't know, I think everybody kind of does the same when you're planning your program. You obviously, it's human-centered design. That's the base of it. Awesome. Thank you, Heather. And last but not least, Jess, tell us a bit about how your mobile market fit into your mission. What does your program look like and the impact it's having?
Sure, thank you. So at Go Farm, we believe that local food is for everyone. And our mobile market, which we affectionately know as Chuck the Go Farm truck, which started out as an autocorrect mistake, but we love it. So we still use it. So it fits into our mission by helping us to reduce the barriers that many folks are facing to be part of that local food system. The ones we're really working to address are around transportation, affordability, and stigma. So what it looks like is we partner with community organizations where folks either live or are already going. So some of those are Head Start and WIC, hospital, communities for older adults and folks living with disabilities. And we host either weekly or biweekly markets at those locations. Again, that the weekly versus biweekly depends on that specific community and the expressed need there. We prioritize neighborhoods where barriers to accessing and affording local food are the greatest, but we also only go where our partners invite us in to be a part of the community. So we load our truck up with fresh, locally grown produce, as well as eggs and tortillas and bread, just the other things that we're getting from our local producers. And then we charge affordable prices. We do also charge for our food. But we also welcome SNAP and are able to offer double up food bucks. So folks are paying with SNAP, they get half price. We use a flexible pricing or sliding scale model. This was our first year of using that, and it really was really successful in helping us better reach folks. And then we work closely with our partners and community members to really identify what other discounts or incentives there are that might be really helpful for us to reach that particular community. So, in one spot, we heard that even with all of these other things, the food was still out of reach for some folks. So we started doing $10 free. And in other places, we have a lot of families who are enrolled in WIC. And so we do a half price discount for families enrolled in WIC, and also are able to offer no cost market credits for some WIC families as well. So just really again, incorporating community feedback into making changes and really rely on those folks to help guide us about how best to reach their neighbors. We strive to create markets that are welcoming and inclusive, as well as fun. We've been known to put on the carrot and pea costumes and not just on Halloween. So we love to play with kids. We love to chat with our regular customers and welcome folks who are new to our markets. It's a job requirement. You just gotta love to talk veggies. And so that way, as many people have said, if something's unfamiliar, we want to be able to have folks feel like they can buy it and try it. So whether that's offering recipes, nutritional info, and again, lots of folks in line who are like, ooh, I tried that last week. My kids really liked it this way. So creating a culture of that sharing and excitement about different ways to enjoy this great food. And looking at our impact, last year we hosted 82 markets, reached over 550 households, and had over 1,650 visits. Because of our schedule, this primarily happens in 2 days of the week, kind of how our food flows through our system. It's on Thursdays and Fridays, mostly, that we do our markets. And over 2/3 of our sales included either SNAP and double up food bucks or some other discount. So that lets us know kind of where that we're reaching folks with those discounts.
Reaching the right, yeah.
Yeah. Our flexible pricing model gave folks, sorry about that, more food for their dollar during a really rough financial time for lots of people, as well as giving folks the opportunity to pay it forward when they were able. We've heard from so many of our customers that they just love the convenience of our markets, as well as the opportunity to try new things. I think the impact, you can measure impact a lot of different ways, but as some other folks were saying, just the connections that are happening to me is a really important impact. Customers who become friends, us having really cool engagements with our customers, and then the farmers really appreciate being able to reach community members that they might not otherwise be able to reach. And the customers love to be a part of the local food system and support those local farmers. So thanks.
Thank you, Jess. Tamara, sorry, last but not least, Tamara.
That's okay. All right, so I'm going to try and be quick because I see we're running out of time. A lot of the things I heard are we see some similarities in how we at the Campaign Against Hunger work with our Fresh Fries Market. And because of time, and that's what we call it, we don't have a name like you guys, but we do have Fresh Fries Market. And I'm going to just try and hit on some of the points that I think may be a little different. Our Fresh Fries Market, we kind of break it down into three different ways that we use our markets. We currently have one that was made by the farmer's truck, and we have two that are still being made right now. And then we had one that we used for, had developed from another company. Generally, the three ways that we use it is one, being at an actual farmers market, meaning that here in New York City, there's plenty of farmers market that are throughout the city, and showing up actually with the vehicle, and that being our farmers stand at various market. We do sell our produce, and in some cases we use the vehicle for our free items. So in that case, there would be a selling thing where we would show up, and just like any other farmer, we do grow, as I mentioned, our own food. And so the food is coming from our farmers market or other local markets, like others have said. And in some cases, we do have to purchase because we have such a wide population. You know, you're not going to find plantain growing in New York City. That's just relatively impossible. And so we have to outsource that because we want to meet the needs of our clients. But we do focus a lot on green leaf vegetable, anything around your kale, your Swiss chard, callaloo, things along those lines that speak to the population, and just educating them through various workshops and things like that. So we'll do it through regular farmers market. We'll also do it through what we call our stops. We go out mainly in partnership with, like some of the other agencies have said, various, for us, NYCHA built-in senior centers, like you said, WIC office, just organizations, company. I think where we differ is because we understand that the population that we serve are not only suffering from various health disparities, but income is a problem. We do allow for our produce to be at a low cost. I think it may be lower than Walmart, but it is not as high as a regular farmer's market. But what we do also is we have our own health books. We accept, WIC, SNAP, we do all of those double ups, FMLP checks, but we partner with the site. So does that mean partnering with that CSA, the NYCHA TA president, or partnering up with that hospital to find out what kind of funding you have? And we print checks, and our checks have the logo of the organization that we're working with. These checks can range in prices from I've seen them all the way up to $25. And what they do is they're able to give out these checks to maybe they had an exercise class or a special program that took place, a promotion, something along those lines that took place at these agencies. And so we redeem them as a means of saying, hey, thanks for participating and helping towards your health and building that community, or even if it's at a summer event or a block party or something like that. And so we collect those. And so clients have the ability to come in to shop, as opposed to a CSA share where you're just getting already packed produce that is what's available. At least you have this money, and you can pick and choose based upon your needs, or maybe supplement from what you got from the pantry. And so we use it in that form, and that is very helpful for us. And then the final aspect that I would like to bring up is we actually use it as part of our mobile pantry. In some cases, it goes out and it stacks. Instead of having half of it is fresh produce, because of course that's half of my plate, and quarter of the stalls being grain and produce, grain and protein, and the extra, and just allow clients to have, we typically do a supermarket model. Tabletop model is the only model that I think would be close to this model, but having the food layout on the truck, and they would shop according to their point system. They would shop according to their point system to be able to redeem their food. So that, in a nutshell, is how we use our Fresh Vibes Market. It has been very successful in all three areas. We've been able to target different age group depending on the location. So we go from pregnant moms to all the way up to 0 years, all the way up to the seniors. We find that the checks is one of the most effective way that we're able to meet the needs. We bring, for us, a lot of our clients take Metro cards, and it costs $5 for them to travel back and forth to go to the store. So having it already at a location that they're already going to is helping them to save money. And then having fresh produce and culturally appropriate produce at a fraction of the cost is also plus. So thank you.
Thank you. I really like the difference between the model, but at the end of the day, it's all about making food more accessible. Some, depending on your demographic, it needs to be free. Some can afford, if you're going to serve a more affluent community like Heather is trying out, you'll be able to do a bit more. And then that might support the rest of your mission. So there's ways to balance that. We do have a financial model we call it Robin Hood. And it's the idea is to do a low-income area in the morning and a high-income area in the afternoon, and to balance your income that way and to be more supported financially. So we're almost out of time. So I will ask the final question really quick. So if everybody can give me a 15-20 seconds answer to this, and then we'll jump right to the question. And I'm going to invite everybody in the audience to the questions you've put down. Please go to the Q&A section at the bottom of Zoom. You'll be able to add your question there. And those who are similar, James will combine them, and then I'll try to ask for our panelists who wants to answer. And we'll run all the way to 15 minutes after 2 Eastern. Okay, so real quick. So the mobile produce markets are included in the White House strategy following the recent conference on hunger and nutrition and health. The question is, what is the future of mobile markets? And what must happen for them to be successful? So about 30 seconds, and we'll start with Tamara.
Okay, the future of mobile markets, I think that technology plays an important role in the future of anything. And yes, we know from the report where they talk about, making accessibility and things like that. I think in the way that we're going in technology is important, at least for us here in New York City. We have some plans and things that we want to do that we haven't quite brought out yet, so I won't say much to it. But it's important for us to think about how can we incorporate technology, maybe step out of the box, right? Not look at for the campaign, not look at itself as only a pantry, and not just a farmer's market, but how can we get fresh produce into the hands of our clients in an effective way? Apart from the truck moving from stop to stop, what is the best way to tackle that? And we are working on some things. I can't really say what that is, but we're excited about it.
I look forward to hear that. Yeah, I look forward to how that integrates with your organization and your programs. Jess, please go ahead.
Cool. Yeah. So I think a big thing that's come up in this conversation is the importance of mobile markets being community led. And anti-oppressive, and with an anti-oppression lens. We don't want to just replicate the inequities that are central to the current food system. So I think that's a big thing. It has to be a part of a coordinated effort. Mobile markets are awesome, and they're an important piece of the puzzle. And I think we need to be systems thinkers to address really complex problems like hunger. And I think funding is a huge thing. Given our current system, our mobile market wouldn't be financially self-sustaining because we're committed to paying farmers a fair price, which they set, but then can't turn around and charge that plus enough to pay our staff well and transportation costs and things like that. So given the current system, I think funding is a huge piece. And saying all that, I think mobile markets can really be an awesome piece of this, connecting folks.
Thank you, Jess. I think the regional food hub or food system will hopefully bridge the gap between the starting farmers and then the massive, corporate farms it's really hard. And then they have to make ends meet. So obviously they're charging more money, and that makes it difficult to support local. But, if your mission, that's your mission. And so, okay. Thank you, Jess. Heather, 30 seconds.
Yeah, I actually second a lot of what Jess just said. I think mobile markets can be a really important tool for justice and equity in the food system, especially if they're run by and for communities. They can be a really important piece in this movement for food sovereignty. Can also be used to support small farms and particularly marginalized farmers, small beginning BIPOC farmers, farms using regenerative practices. And what's needed is an ongoing investment in local food infrastructure. So we need farms, we need food hubs, we need all of these things that kind of connect the pieces together. And we also need ongoing investment in food benefits programs like SNAP and WIC, incentive programs like Market Match and Double Up Food Bucks. Those things are absolutely fundamental to making our model work. And until we have a food system that actually serves everyone, we need to rely on those kinds of incentives and benefits to make it happen.
Thank you, Heather. I started saying now that if food is medicine, then we need a medical grade food system, right? Next one, Julie, would you like to go next?
Thank you. I think that was a great segue. As I look at the future of this, I think it really has to be fully integrated into healthcare. I think ultimately we know that food is medicine. Having access to the right foods will help us lead the healthiest lives possible. And so I think in order for it to scale, in order for it to be sustainable, there needs to be some institutionalization of it, either through the healthcare system, and then also with smart public policy. Not more of the same, but smart public policy reform.
Science-based, evidence-based. Oh, all right, Tamara, you have to go in 10 minutes. Okay, sorry. So I'll let you answer the first question the audience has been asking. Julie, thank you very much. Sarah, please, you're next.
I'll make it quick. Affordability of the truck itself and then the ongoing cost of it is obviously trying to make that not so much of a barrier. But also I think the number one thing to making a mobile market successful is the ability to adapt and change and be okay if it doesn't work the first time and keep trying and trying again and not give up.
Thank you. Okay, so Tamara, I will ask you the first question. So James is asking, okay, so combine one, so it's a bunch of questions, but it's kind of around this. So how would you compare, contrast a mobile market with a supermarket model, specifically regarding dignity?
So for us, the supermarket model and the mobile model is relatively the same only because there's choice. Modeling is just having the choice. Supermarket only allows for a setup that looks like a supermarket. So you have aisles that you walk down, you feel like you're in a supermarket without it saying a supermarket, without it saying a pantry on the outside. With the mobile market, or the way we have it set up, or with the truck that we have from the farmer's truck, it's a walk-up model. So you have the same choices. It allows for 24 different selection within our setup, and those can be subdivided to make 48. But generally we go with the 24, where a supermarket is shelving. So there's different levels going down, and depending on the size, you have more for choice. But essentially the same basic fundamental is there for the client, and they can still walk away with the same level of dignity and appreciation for the product.
Thank you. And I know you have to go tomorrow, so I appreciate your time. I appreciate you being here. And if you stick around for a little bit more, but we understand when you got to leave, you got to leave. Okay, anybody else would like to tackle this question? So what is compare the contrast between mobile markets and shopping experience at a supermarket, and the dignity involved, and is there a big difference? And anybody, I don't know if you guys want to click on the raise hand function so I can know who wants to answer that question. Oh, Heather.
Yeah, just to add on to what Tamara said, I think oftentimes the quality of the produce at the mobile farmers markets can be even better than what folks find at the supermarket. Depends on the supermarket, depends on the mobile market, but a lot of times, because we're working directly with farmers, we're able to access really high quality fresh produce. So in terms of dignity for what people are wanting and wanting to cook, especially for those culturally relevant items, like the okra that you find in a grocery store is often not great, right? It's kind of beat up if you see it at all. And whereas we're able to get that okra right out of the field onto the truck the next day for people to use and take advantage of.
Very cool. Thank you. Okay, Julie, I know you have to go as well. So Julie, maybe I'll ask you a question about How often are most mobile trucks get dispatched? Is it daily, or do they have a route like 3 or 4 areas a day? Tell me about like how you plan your program and how that looks like.
So the farmer's truck has changed the way that we do our mobile markets. And it does allow us to make a route for every day of the week. We're not up to 5 days a week yet, but that is the goal. And it allows us to make a route that will take in 3 or 4 different locations, even 5 different locations that are clustered together across our service area. And so, we try to schedule the routes for efficiency, and then also by size. So we might put a larger market with some smaller markets or a handful of small markets, just depending on which direction we're headed.
And how many families or household, I guess, would you serve in one day?
So I think on average, the markets are between probably 80 and 100 households for probably 80 on average. We have some that are over 100 and some that are much smaller. Some of the senior centers are more like 35 or 40 households.
Okay. So you would have 4 stops. That would be around 40 to 50 to 60. So you're serving roughly 200 to 300 households a day.
That would be the goal. Yes.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, so I have a bunch of other questions. We're about 5 minutes left on this. I know some people are already leaving. Tamara and Julie, if you do have to leave, please don't be shy. I'm going to ask one more question, and I'm going to see who else wants to tackle that one. So for those on the panel that deal with cold winter, how do you work around the weather? And so I would say, well, who wants to take that one on?
Okay, since no one's jumping in, I'll jump in. We are open all year round. New York can get a bit cold and snowy and rainy, and with all our programs, rain, sun, or shine, it is a necessity. We're typically open unless there's a blizzard. But for us, the winter does not make a difference. We do have less stops only because the stops some stops believe that they don't have enough foot traffic to maintain it. There is a minimum for our locations. If it is an area that we're selling, that there must be a minimum of $500 in sales that is done at that location for us to maintain it. And then our stops can be, some stops are quarterly events, some stops are weekly, some stops are bi-weekly. It depends on the location. Some stops are the same location twice a week. It just depends on the necessity, the need, and the foot traffic. But the weather doesn't, we still come out. We just don't have as many events, 1-day events in winter, but colleges and things like that, they're still open. So once they're open, we're there.
And people show up, and so just dress warm and you're good to go. If there's too much snow, well, you need winter tires. That's another problem.
We put the chains on.
Chains. Well, you're in Canada if you're putting chains on. Julie.
Also being in cold weather, we're all weather market unless there's a blizzard. And we know our seniors, we already will go into the building or make something easier for them. But the efficiency of the truck allows us to have be all contained, come right in, pull right back out again.
Thank you. And I guess, Jess, you do get some, I'm in Colorado, but I don't think you're operating in the winter.
Right. Yeah. So because we're just working with locally grown stuff, really our season is primarily like, we do have some like things happening in April, May, but it's primarily June through October. And then we do continue a little bit into like November, but we can get snow any old time. So not July, August, but we've had some snow in September, June, like that's just how it works here. So so we're hoping to grow demand as we grow supply and extend our seasons out. But yeah, that's kind of where we're at.
Very adaptive.
And if I can add, I think what also helped us is we work with a lot of hydroponics and things like that. So those also help to supplement in the winter months our self-growing in with that technology.
Very cool. Okay, I'll throw in one last question and then we'll wrap it up. And this is specifically for Heather, but I think that would be relevant to anyone. So you mentioned that you asked the community to help determine the culturally relevant food. So how did you tackle this? Did you do surveys? What was the process to do community engagement? And if anybody wants to take that question, I mean, it's specific to Heather, but
I can start off. We have done some surveys, although the truth is that our most valuable information often doesn't come through surveys. There's some language barriers, and also we're still trying to figure out how to do surveys effectively. But most of the good information just comes from conversations with people. There's just it's just that kind of feeling around the truck. People stop and they chat with each other, they chat with our community food ambassadors. So we get a lot of good info from our community food ambassadors about what people are wanting. We just ask people anytime I have a chance. I'm like, what do you want to see on the truck that we don't have yet? And that's where the information comes from.
very cool. Thank you, Heather. Anybody else wants to tackle this? Julie.
One thing that we have done is we've created a program called New Americans, Old Traditions, and we have representatives from different cultures that we've talked to one-on-one to gather up what things they would like to see, both in our pantries and in our mobile markets. And some of it was we thought we knew and we really didn't know, and it was just great to have someone tell us this is what we need, or we would never have turkey, we would only have pork, and that type of information. And I agree with Heather, it's hard to do a survey, especially across language barriers, and get the same richness of information. So we have currently have 12 different people helping us inform the types of food that we're putting into our pantries and mobile markets.
Thank you, Julie. I know you probably have to go, so we'll wrap things up. That was the last question. I can see there's a ton more questions, so I'm going to invite people to send us a message on our website. You can ask us questions there, but we will follow up with an email. If any of you have questions about mobile markets, if there's any way for us to be helpful and help you determine if that's a good program that you might want to consider. I also wanted to point out something that, if you look at our panelists today, they are all women. And women are leading the change when it comes to food access and changing the food world. And so I want to make a special note of that. And we get to work with all these women, and I am privileged to be able to help them out. So please, if you want to have access to the presentation, you can scan the QR code or go on our website. And I appreciate everyone for joining us, and please have a great rest of your day. Thank you.